When I stepped into the bright marble lobby of the bank, I never imagined how much my life was about to change. My name is Alina, 25 years old, from a quiet neighborhood where the rhythm of life was slow and predictable. I had always dreamed of doing something that would make me feel strong, confident, and independent. When I was offered the position of cashier at a prestigious private bank in the city, I took it with trembling hands and a heart full of hope. Everything about the bank was different from what I had known. Its grand glass windows, the cold steel counters, the distant echo of footsteps on the polished floor. On my first day, I met a woman named Rania. She was older than me, perhaps in her early 30s, with a sharp smile and eyes that always seemed to be reading between the lines. She had been working at the bank for 7 years, and she took it upon herself to guide me. Come early, stay sharp, and always smile at the clients, but never too much, she told me on the first morning. And if the manager calls you in, never keep him waiting. I smiled politely, unsure what she meant. Our manager, Mr. Jordan, was a tall, composed man originally from New York. He had a reputation for being calm, powerful, and commanding. His presence filled a room before he even spoke. He was professional, distant, but there was something about him that caught people's attention, especially women's. His deep voice, slow speech, and steady gaze left most of us a little breathless. Rania often hinted about him. They say he can see through anyone, she said once, lowering her voice. He doesn't talk much, but when he does, you'll remember it. I had never had a boyfriend before. In fact, I had never even held someone's hand in a way that meant more than politeness. But something about this new place, the city's pace, and the eyes of Mr. Jordan, it stirred things inside me that I'd kept buried for years. I started noticing the way he glanced my way during meetings. Subtle, never too long, but always enough to leave a trace. I tried to shake it off, but Rania noticed. You should be careful, she said one day, her voice more curious than warning. You're not used to this place. It changes people. Then one Friday evening, everything shifted. There was a staff gathering in the executive lounge, a formal event, but relaxed. Rania had insisted I wear something elegant yet bold. I chose a knee-length black dress, simple yet fitted, paired with modest heels. She wore red and carried herself with an air of quiet confidence. The lounge was dimly lit, with soft music floating in the background. Mr. Jordan stood near the bar, speaking with another senior officer. Rania nudged me, smiling. Let's get something to drink. We did. She kept me close all evening, introducing me to others, always keeping her eyes on Mr. Jordan. As the night deepened, many guests began leaving, but we stayed. Rania seemed to wait for something. Then Mr. Jordan approached. He looked different up close, his expression softened slightly, his voice quieter. He asked how I was adjusting to the role, and before I could fully answer, Rania invited him to join us at a more private table. He agreed. The conversation started light, about work, clients, and expectations, but Rania subtly steered it toward more personal waters. She teased me gently, mentioning how I was always so quiet, so unopened, as she put it. Mr. Jordan watched me as she spoke, his gaze steady, curious. Rania excused herself briefly, and it was just him and me. For a few moments, silence rested between us. Then he said, You remind me of someone I once knew. Quiet on the outside, but a storm underneath. I didn't know how to respond. I looked down at my glass, my fingers trembling slightly. When Rania returned, she had that same knowing smile on her face. She whispered something in Mr. Jordan's ear, and he looked at me again, longer this time. Then he invited us to his private office upstairs. I hesitated, but Rania gave my hand a light squeeze. "Just a conversation," she said. "Nothing more." The office was quiet, the windows revealing the night city beyond. He poured a gentle drink for each of us, something light, with a strange, calming warmth. We talked for nearly an hour. He spoke more than usual, mostly with Rania, but his attention kept drifting toward me. I tried to keep composed, but my thoughts were spinning. Then the atmosphere shifted again. He leaned slightly closer, his words slower, his voice softer. He reached out to brush a loose strand of hair from my cheek. I didn't move away. It wasn't forceful, just measured. Curious. Then he kissed me, softly, briefly, on the side of my face. I froze. Not in fear, but confusion. I had never been kissed before, not even by someone my own age. Rania, who had been silent for a moment, stood and walked over. I looked at her, unsure, but she didn't seem surprised. "I told you the city changes people," she whispered. She smiled at me, not cruelly, but with something like understanding. That night, we didn't go home. We stayed in that quiet office, speaking in hushed tones, sharing drinks, and letting the moment stretch far longer than I had expected. It wasn't what I had imagined, yet it didn't feel wrong. It felt unreal. The next morning, the sun filtered in through the tall windows. I sat by the desk while Rania poured coffee. Mr. Jordan stood by the window, looking out over the city. No one said much. No one had to. I walked out of that office changed. Not because of what had happened, but because of what I had learned. About the world. About people. About myself. Rania never asked for thanks, and Mr. Jordan never brought it up again. We returned to work like nothing had shifted, but something had. I moved through the bank more confidently. I understood now that attraction could be quiet. That desire wasn't always loud. That control was a delicate balance, and trust, even unspoken, was fragile. I still remember that night, not as a moment of recklessness, but as the beginning of a chapter one didn't know I was ready to write. And I wonder, even now, how many people around me have their own quiet nights, their own turning points, hidden behind calm smiles and professional greetings. Because behind every polished desk and perfect uniform, there's a story, and mine had only just begun.